Now we're going to talk about a topic that touches all of our lives: healthcare.
You just robbed Bernie for the second time in a row, and now you're talking about his trademark, healthcare?
The Affordable Care Act was game-changing. This pandemic has revealed just how important it is to protect and improve it. Increasing access to healthcare and bringing down its costs have always been a priority for Joe Biden.
Stop lying. We all know that the reason Biden doesn't support Medicare for all is because of this exact reason. Joe Biden's corporate donors won't allow that to happen.
Because for Joe and for all of us, healthcare is personal.
It's the toughest battles that called for the steadiest leadership. Again and again, they were told to give up on affordable health care. They knew it would cost them politically.
The Republicans say this will prove to be unpopular.
The bill is a legislative train wreck.
You're leaving out the fact that the framework for the Affordable Care Act came from the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank who developed it to use as an alternative to nationalized health care. Mitt Romney implemented that plan in Utah, and then Obama came and appropriated it and tried to pass it through. But the moment Obama tried to compromise on healthcare, suddenly the conservative think tank strategy became a socialist policy. We moved right on healthcare, and the Republicans respond by moving even farther right, even closer to their true agenda. This is why, to get real change, we need to take big, bold action.
But not nearly as much as it would cost the American people if they did nothing.
We are not going to slow up on providing affordable health care for Americans.
Health care is a natural American right.
Giving up on the Affordable Care Act would have meant leaving 20 million without coverage out in the cold.
Even under Obamacare, millions of people still don't have health insurance.
But Joe Biden wasn't about to give up because he knew what it was like to stand in their shoes. He was sworn into the Senate next to a hospital bed. His wife and daughter had been killed in a car crash. And lying in that bed were his two sons. 40 years later, one of those little boys, his son Beau, was diagnosed with cancer and given only months to live. It's hard to imagine a greater grief than losing your child. But Joe always knew that his family was one of the lucky ones. After that accident, his son got 40 more years of life, all because he had health care.
Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Now, it's unthinkable that Donald Trump is trying to take that health care away. In the middle of a pandemic, he's still trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. This fight is personal for Joe, as personal as it gets. So when Joe says he has a plan to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, protect those with pre-existing conditions, and expand access to every American, he's thinking about how having health care saved his boys. When his plan talks about lowering drug prices and making care more affordable, he's thinking about Beau, who spent his final days in comfort because he was insured. Joe Biden knows what affordable health care means to American families because of what it's meant to his.
This is my promise to you. When I'm president, I will take care of your health care coverage and your family the same way I would my own. For that's what the presidency is, the duty to care for all of us, not just those who vote for us, but all of us. This job is not about me, it's about you, it's about us.
Don't be fooled by all of this. The United States is the only developed nation that does not have nationalized healthcare, and we spend twice as much money per capita, yet millions are uninsured or underinsured. American healthcare cannot be fixed by making little tweaks around the edges. It is fundamentally broken and needs to be replaced entirely by a nationalized system that will make things work for all Americans.
I was fine.
How are you, you handsome boy?
He was born in 15 and with a heart condition, known as transposition of the greater arteries, and ended up requiring a transplant. And thankfully, the ACA had already taken effect. But now that's something that we think about all the time, especially with his coverage, the potential of coverage maxes. And his initial hospital stay was over $3 million that was billed back to the insurance.
I remember thinking as Bo lay dying in bed, and we'd lie in bed with him, his brother and I and his sister, and thinking to myself, what in God's name would I do if the doctor walked in and said, I'm sorry, you've outrun your insurance, you've reached your cap, suffer the last few months of your life on your own.
I came from a part of the country, rural Missouri, where basically everybody was a Republican and I was a Republican. And I lost my voice. And we put off going to the doctor because we didn't have health insurance.
Nowadays, even when people are insured, some of them are underinsured. Some people don't have a penny to spend. If this man could visit the doctor without fear of going bankrupt as a result of it, he could have gotten treatment much earlier in the development. We could have saved tons of money by catching the problems early. Instead, even people who are insured are reluctant to go to the hospital because they still have to pay a price. 80% of the American population lives paycheck to paycheck.
When we finally got into somebody that could take a look at my throat, they said, wow, you've got cancer. It was stage 4, the worst kind of cancer you can have. My wife applied for insurance through the Affordable Care Act, and my coverage began on April 1st in 2012. And that same day, they started my chemo and radiation, and it saved my life. I'm here today.
Generally speaking, as a church, you're concerned about people spiritually, but you're also concerned about other areas of their life.
Like how much tithe money you can generate from them.
And that includes their physical or physiological well-being. Because the Bible talks about all of us. But there are people in our country, and in fact, people in my church that can't take advantage of it because they don't have good health care. That's pretty discouraging to me, and that's pretty discouraging to them.
Because of the myasthenia gravis and the fact that it's a very rare disease, a lot of our medications we have to fight for. And before the ACA, we worried about our medications. We worried about the pre-existing conditions for our children. We worried about age and the cap, because having that cost of the medications, we would have reached that $1 million cap in no time. But once the ACA passed, we no longer had that cap of the $1 million.
The fear that you all live in, understandably, if somehow tomorrow they said no insurance, you're not covered, is just devastating. Hey, Laura, how you doing?
Yes, again.
How you doing? Well, you beat Hodgkin's lymphoma. God love you. But during it all, Trump was trying to rip away your coverage. The day you got your first chemo, Republicans voted to gut the ACA. I can't imagine what it must have been like going to sleep at night wondering what to do.
Ever since I was diagnosed, every night I'd go to bed concerned about what news I would get in the morning. And even today, they're still trying to take away our health care, even during a pandemic.
Look, we're going to make sure we don't lose that ACA. We're going to provide a Medicare-like option as a public option.
Privately, Biden's aides doubt that he can get that done.
And any state where there is if you qualify for Medicaid and the state hasn't provided it, you'd automatically be enrolled. I'm going to protect you like I tried to protect my own family. And I promise you that.
Of all the benefits Obamacare gives, of all the challenges ACA helps, a single payer system will do it all and better.
I met Joe last year at a campaign event to thank him for being so involved in the battle to cure cancer. Indeed, I have what's been diagnosed as terminal cancer. The inspiration and the empathy and the human love that he was shared with me has kept me going.
I made an appointment for my wellness checkup provided for by the Affordable Care Act. I was told that I had ovarian cancer. I finished my course of treatment, and since then, I've been cancer-free, and I'm very grateful for that.
I chose to become a Joe Biden delegate as I watched with our nation as President Donald Trump sought to dismantle the Affordable Care Act.
My purpose in life right now is to devote all my energy to getting Joe elected.
I anxiously jumped at the chance to become a Biden delegate.
You will continue to strengthen the Affordable Care Act so that diseases like cancer don't go undetected.
God, I hate this song now. More anecdotes about how the Affordable Care Act helped people. More situations where Medicare for All would have done the same thing even better.
Today, we are witnessing the tragic consequences of our failing healthcare system. In the midst of a pandemic, nearly 100 million Americans do not have sufficient health insurance.
Yeah, this is even with Obamacare. You certainly did not do enough.
And even good insurance does not cover essential needs like long-term care. Our loved ones are dying in unsafe nursing homes, our nurses are overwhelmed and unprotected, and our essential workers are treated as dispensable. We live in the richest country in history, and yet we do not guarantee this most basic human right. Everyone living in America should get the health care they need, regardless of their employment status or ability to pay.
Sounds like an argument for single payer to me.
Even during this terrible crisis, Donald Trump and Republican politicians are trying to take away millions of people's health insurance. With the existential threat of another 4 years of this president, we all have a profound obligation to act. Not only to vote, but to make sure that our friends, family, and neighbors vote as well.
Politics and elections can seem like these faraway things that one person doesn't have the power to change. But what's happening in our country right now makes it clear how personal politics are. I've discovered that when I get informed and participate, my fear gets smaller.
Fuck, my fear gets greater every time. Every day something finds a way to fuck itself up and move us farther and farther away from our goals.
Voting is a big part of that. So knowing the change you want, vote for the leaders you think will make it happen.
Oh yeah, Howie Hawkins.
And if you're able, if you can, help fund this campaign.
Fuck no. I tolerate you because you're the lesser of two evils, but I ain't paying shit.